okay, I don't know where it cut off, but so they immediately were like, oh, that's terrible, but you know what? You have to suck it up. This is your job. We won't have anywhere to put her, so it is what it is. And I'm like, no, I know that you guys have several positions that are not very far from, like, within like an hour or whatever. And actually there was one like 20 minutes from where her cousin lived that she could have easily gone to. But they were like, nope. And so I was like, for several, like that whole week I was calling pretty much anybody who would listen, like to anyone I could get a hold of, like the person that handles the because there was like a boss that handles the maintenance people, which would technically be her boss. I was calling them. I was calling the higher ups. I was calling my supervisor. I was telling the secretaries that would answer the phone. Like, people at this place knew. And they were like, well, that's too bad. You have to work with her. And I was like, the thing is, she has master keys. She's not supposed to be at my house. And several times I have caught her coming out of my house taking food. I went home one time. Luckily, it was when the kids were at school. But she was taking a shower in my house. Like, just, like, honestly, it's very violating, because you feel like, okay, this is my personal space. Like, I'm trying to, like, move on from this and just, like, have a normal life. Like, what if my kids would have been home? Because I found someone immediately to watch my kids, like, away from my house, so that in case that happened, like, that they wouldn't be there. But it was, like, so, like, just disturbing and creepy. Like, and this went on for 3 freaking months. And, like, I went, like, I don't know, like, I went through some shit during that time, because it was just, like, being forced to work with a person that abused your child. Like, she kind of would stay somewhat away, although there was, like, a few times kind of, like, after about, like, a couple weeks, she'd be like, I miss you, like, I'm sorry, like, I'll go to counseling. Like, no, bitch, you're done. Like, that's it. Like, so it's hard to be at work and you have to deal with that. And then having this person kind of not give a shit and just go into your house, take a shower, eat your food. Like, just, like, sometimes I would come home for lunch and she'd already be sitting at my table, because I would, like, instead of using the front door, because I had to share a doorway with the neighbors, I would go through my back gate, because I'm the manager, I got, like, a big old backyard. And so I would go through my back gate quietly and, like, go to the back door, and, like, I could see right there was my table through the sliding glass door, and she'd be sitting there already eating something or whatever. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I just want to talk to you. Like, I miss you. That kind of shit. So anyways, I would go, and she would, like, it was just, she was always there. Like, I could never fully escape it. And of course, my work started to suffer. I never was fully trained. Their process was so much more complicated than any other apartment manager job I had ever had. And being in the middle of nowhere, in a place that you're unfamiliar with, and then having to learn all new stuff, and the closest person that could ever come and help me was, like, over an hour away. So, like, I was just kind of on my own in this place, and then I have to deal with this, and no one at that company nobody cared. They're just like, oh, that's so sad. But, you know, if you want to have a place to live and, like, be able to buy food and stuff, it is what it is. Like, nobody cared. They just didn't. And I was starting to get, like, really depressed. Like, I was, like, crying a lot. Like, because I was, like, I felt like I failed as a parent. Like, this happened on my watch, and, like, I fucked up. And, like, in my head, I know that I didn't know. Like, it's not like I was just, like, oblivious to it. Like, oh, you know, I don't know what's going on. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, I really didn't know, because it wasn't something that was going on when I was there. And I had never had a reason to think that until that day. But so, like, of course, my work was difficult. Like, it was harder to do my job because she was in and out of the office. Like, towards the end, like, the first part of the 3 months, that I ended up still working there, she kind of, like, she would be in my apartment, but she wasn't as, like, aggressive towards me. But as time progressed, she was more and more, like, in my face, like, more and more like, oh, I really miss you. Like, just, like, constantly harassing me. She would, like, stay after work. And then she started, like, hanging out with, like, my neighbors. Like, hanging out with, like, other people that live there. Like, it was just, honestly, it felt like living with a stalker almost, you know? Like they have keys to your house type of shit. And I told them about the key issue, and they're like, oh, we'll talk to her. We'll tell her not to go in your house. It didn't do anything. And I was like, she's still doing it. Like, oh, she said she was just changing a battery for something. I don't care. I'll change the battery my damn self. Like, she needs to stay out of my house. Like, I talked to cops, and they were like, well, I mean, if we ask her to leave and she leaves, there's nothing we can do. That happened a few times. Like, I called the police. And, like, sometimes, like, because the cops were, like, 30 minutes away. There was no, like, local cops right there. So it was, like, sometimes they would as long as, if I would call in front of her, they wouldn't even end up coming out because I'm like, okay, she's gonna leave. But it was a nightmare. It was really, really hard to get through. And then towards the end of that, I actually ended up meeting my current boyfriend. And then like just like a few weeks after, because they kept telling me for months that they were going to move her, but they didn't know when because they didn't have a place for her. Then like the very first part of November of that year, because this was 2016, my boss showed up, like my supervisor, and I wasn't expecting him. So I already, like, I kind of was like, what's going on? Because normally he's always like, hey, I'm gonna come, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and it wasn't that kind of vibe. So I was like, oh fuck, I'm probably gonna get fired. So I ended up getting fired. He hands me my last check. He's like, you haven't been doing your job right, like, you've been having problems. And I'm like, yeah, because the thing is, you guys knew that the person that you're having me work with abused my child, and you're forcing me to work with them. I was like, you have children. Like, how would you do your job if you were under that situation? And honestly, it's a dude, so he probably would just been like, fuck it. Like, if they would have stepped to me, I would have beat him up. You know, that kind of shit. I don't know. But there was just no, I don't know, like, no compassion or no, like, anything. Like, it's just, I wish they would have talked to me before it got to that point, first of all, and actually, like, helped me in some way. Because then they're like, okay, well, we only have to give you 7 days to move out of your house, but we can give you up to 30. It just depends on how fast we find somebody to replace you. And I'm just like, okay, wow. So then I was freaking out, and I went home, and like my boyfriend was at my house, like, because I had him start coming in the like afternoon time, because that stopped her from coming to my house. So I was like, if you just want to come over and play video games and like chill with the kids, like, he would make them some food and like they would watch a movie, whatever. And that kind of had been a deterrent for her. Like, she wouldn't just come in my house anymore because he would be like, hey, you need to leave. But I went home, and like the thing is, my relationship was very new at that time. But I ended up going home, and I was like upset because I was like, I just got fired. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know where we're gonna live. Like, I was really lucky, and like I immediately found a place to live. Not right there. It was like an hour and 45 minutes away from there, but I just needed somewhere to go. But so I was able to move and all of that. So I don't even know what the point of that is. Just like, that's kind of what led me to meet my boyfriend. But it was very weird that I moved there, and then of course within 3 months things were like just crap. And then like right towards the end, right before I was fired, that's when I met him. And then like being able to find a place, and like since that time, like, things have been better. Like, and my relationship with him is like completely different from any other relationship I've ever had. So then you cut to this year, when let's start with last year. I really, like, we had talked about it, and like we decided we wanted to have a baby, and like I have PCOS, so I don't have like normal female like functions. I've had weight loss surgery. I had that in 2016 and lost like 75 pounds, and things kind of got better, but never like fully like 100%. I still kind of had some issues, but I ended up taking some medication, which helped me, and I got pregnant the very first cycle, which was, I think, October or like the end of September. And then I found out in October that I was pregnant, and then a few weeks later I had a miscarriage, which, it was sad, but it was only 6 weeks, and I felt like, okay, you know, at least now I know it's at least possible. It's been 13 years, and I didn't think I'd be able to. Like, I figured that was it, you know? And then I took the Femara for 2 more cycles, and it didn't work. It wasn't like, I was checking, things weren't lining up, so I was like frustrated, and I was like, I don't understand why it happened, and then it's just gone. Like, it was just like 2 weeks, and then that was it. So then the 4th month, I actually was like, you know what, I'm not going to take the medication. Maybe I'll try to lose another 10 pounds or something and just take a break. And somehow I still ended up pregnant. Like, I was like in shock, because it was like 100% just natural. And I didn't think that was like ever gonna be possible. Like I was like, I have to at least take medication. So then I was like, oh my god, like I felt like, wow, this happened, like maybe it's like really meant to be, you know, like I felt really good about it. And then I had doctors that like just weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And the thing is, I didn't know a lot of things, and I wish I had, but now my camera is gonna die, so I guess that's the end of this video for now, but I will finish later. Thank you for watching, and I'm sorry that this video was not the video I had promised. I don't know, today has just been one of those days where it's like everything goes wrong, and I'm still dealing with, because like people don't understand, like when you lose your baby before you even get to the due date, anything, like you still have all these little things, like that's still a date in your mind that unfortunately it's just a day that's getting closer that you know is never going to be a happy day. But I will try to make the nail polish video maybe tomorrow, just, or like later tonight, if I can just take it down a notch and like feel better. But I kind of do want to do a video specifically about this year and this baby, because I feel like it would be better for me. Like I would feel better to just get it out there, and hopefully it will help somebody to feel like they have something to relate to. Unfortunately, it's a very sad topic, but also feel like maybe people who don't know what it's like to know what's okay to say, what's not okay, and like how things affect us that maybe don't everyone else. But as I said, my camera is going to die, and I have some things I need to do anyways. I've been talking a very long time, but thank you very much for just watching and listening to me. I know like this probably isn't something that's a fun topic, or well, I know it's not a fun topic, but it's not something that you really want to just deal with. But I appreciate it so much that if you've stayed till this point, that you've stayed and watched, because it's I'm a real person. Like just because I own a business, or you see me on YouTube, or you see me on Instagram or whatever, I'm just a regular person who has real things that hurt and affect me. And like, I don't want anyone to think like, oh look, she's like this or like that. Like I'm just me. And unfortunately, these are the things that have made me who I am today. But I will talk to you guys in the next video. I guess this is like part 1. I feel a little better actually, just having said all of that and like told somebody, because it's not something like a lot of people in my life don't know about it, because I don't trust very many people for various reasons. The closest person to me is my boyfriend. He's the only person that probably knows the whole story, because he's the only person I actually really truly trust. But thank you guys, and I hope you guys are having a better day than me. Like I feel like there's so much more I want to say, but I know my camera's gonna die and it's just gonna cut off, and then what? But anyways, I'll talk to you later.